This was, when it started, something of a propaganda film. My father wanting to persuade people that the move from Bottomstead to Pigotts would be a good thing. It was by no means certain in his mind that, with people's very happy memories of Bottomstead, that they would in fact want to come to Pigotts. And we started off with a historical record of the different years of camp going. Notice we spelt Pigotts differently in those days. It's Bob Montgomery and Margaret. There's Joan Chapman on the right. Would that be Jenny Lee? I don't know. Might be. Bessie Winton, Brian Richards on the right. There, carrying her violin, is Marigold Whittam. That's me and Peter Gent, Martin Gent's father. Cars being admired. Beryl Gent, as she then was, Beryl Jones now. Robert Rowell on the left. Anthony Roberts walking slowly away from us. Simon Marr Johnson, nearest to us. A bonfire. Got rid of at least one, I think probably two pianos in that bonfire. He's panning around the field, which was surrounded by huge elms. He's up on the Berkshire Downs. That's the remains of the bonfire of the night before. That little shed was where my father and Elizabeth slept. It had originally been built for my mother who found camping very difficult, and so that was provided as Elizabeth's Jaguar. There was a second field through there which we used. We're now looking about north. And that was the camp garden, which was gradually developed by Rachel Matthews over a number of years. We are now at Pigotts, and this is the field before the big barn was put in. This was to suggest where it should be. It's a little bit further up the hill, of course, because that's the end of the building, the existing building. £2,000. My father suggested that people might contribute whatever they would normally spend on an evening out, and that covered it all in the end. Permission was granted for an agricultural barn for occasional musical use to be built. This shows the passing of the plans and some of my father's calculations. The Standard Industrial Trust Type A was built, and its design came from very close to Pigotts. It's one of the towers going up, and that's a momentary shot of Ken Goff in red. This is a bit of a fake, because in fact it's a digger digging out a lap pit, but it's to point out that there was some digger work in preparing the site. You can see it's down to the chalk. That's me bricklaying, and that is the chimney, which is now the narthex chimney, as it were, against the evening sky. The cat of the time being allowed down leaping when it felt safe. This is throwing bricks up. That's the end of the long cottage there. the lower half of the pillars was cast 1 week, and then more shuttering was put on the next week, and the upper half was cast, and that's how we progressed round from pillar to pillar. John Dorswell, bringing his expertise and his datum level. Quite long bolts were needed, and they had to have a thread cut on them to the right point, and that's Dick Gandy putting the cement into the cement mixer. Traditionally, cement mixers have been called Miranda for reasons that I don't know. That's me putting a rope onto a pier, and that's again getting a bucket of concrete and pouring it down one of the upper. This is the Bolton family at work. Marion and David, and that's taking off the shuttering after the shuttering could be reused, of course. That's James Richard, I think, at the far end. Yes, that's James. And I think that's Will Carter. The figure in red at the front is Sophie Orloff, with her grandmother Elizabeth next to her, and these are the half trusses which were put up at the two ends of the barn, which were relatively easy to carry about, and indeed to lift into place. pulling on ropes was important. That's Gwengoff. Margot Fagan is there. In red, that's Ken Goff. I was better at heights in those days. Jenny and Drew there. That's Ken, that's Mady Goff near the camera, and Libby, I think. This is using the chain hoists at each end to bring these up very slowly. You can see the speed they went up. Marjorie Rushton with the white hair at the back. Brian Richards. Brian Richards and my father working on the roof. Yeah, my father was just over 60 at the time. That's me. The full beard. Marked low, I think. Jenny Lee. The chap up at the front there is Martin Chent. Watch for the leaves on the twigs, they're quite nice. Quite late snow that year. The first of the trusses up. That's Fritz. That's Bob Montgomery. The double filming on here was not intentional, but my father decided to keep it as a device. This is bringing out the old Bottomstead refrigerator bought by my father because it had been on display in the shop window and someone had driven through the shop window and damaged it, it for many years it was the delight of the cooks at Bottomstead. That's Martin Gent. This was the first little tractor mower we had at Pigotts. I'm driving it, and it is, as my father used to enjoy, speeded up, of course, and it proved it worked for many years, that machine. The northern side of the barn was built using shuttering and is solid concrete. This was abandoned because it proved too slow. These pieces of shuttering were used. Joan Chapman, I think. That's the door that now leads between the narthex and the main barn. The windows were purchased second-hand from at an auction, and we managed to buy 27 windows. I think it was for 25 shillings or something like that. A good buy even at that time. That's Alan Richards and my father involved in taking down the old doors on the way down to the new main barn. I think that may be Stephen McCormick, who put a great deal of work into this that summer. My father enjoyed speeded up bits of film. I think that's Margot Fagan. Yes, it is. A guard of honour was established Is that Stephen McCormick? The last block went up to salutes and was going to be put in place by Elizabeth, but the film ran out. Lost underneath that flooring is Richard Montgomery's teddy bear. It is, up to the best of my knowledge, still there. We took the scaffolding down quickly by slightly unconventional methods. Hancock, of course. And there's Elizabeth. This was all being done just before the beginning of the second camp, that in 1966. Light. The small red tractor was very useful. That's Sophie. Ken in the shorts, my father driving. Brought in on its sledge. More speeded up film. That's Nick Steinitz, but I'm not sure, conducting. Yes. the lats. And the shower. Mary Rivers Moor, the back there. The wash-up and table tennis was the next year's project. Table tennis was one of my father's passions. It came high on the list of priorities. He won quite a lot. There's Foster and Helen Anderson there. Marion Milford, George Daisley, Dennis Clark, Dick Gandy, Edward James, days before ball games were banned in the courtyard. Elizabeth on the right, Helen Anderson doing some painting. Putting up tents. And the days before the fitted ground sheet. Anthony Smithson. Christopher Reynolds. No, I beg your pardon, Francis Reynolds. A little unlikely. That's Jack, whose second name escapes me, an American conductor who came over to camp 2 or 3 times about that time.